Welcome to Double Fries No Slaw 6-9. A nice day today, June 9th, 2024. And Richie, we talk a lot of football, which we'll talk a little bit of recruiting. We'll talk a little bit about some history, some old stuff too today. But we will certainly start the weekend off talking about Omaha and FSU baseball getting back to the College World Series. I'll even talk about that before we shout anybody out or do any ad reads or anything like that. I'm not even going to ask you how your weekend was, and we'll talk more about that super regional in just a moment. But how's your weekend been watching FSU baseball?
TJ, we going back. Let's go. I was so excited watching Friday. You know, I was at work, but I have a TV in my office, so I was able to watch the game. And then yesterday, nerve-wracking to say the least, but just seeing them come back, winning the 12th inning, James Tibbs, ACC Player of the Year, for him to make the home run, his third of the day to finally seal things. Man, it was awesome. And shout out, I forget his name, UConn's head coach. He gave a huge shout out to Florida State, the fan base, the animals. Said it was the best environment he's ever seen, and not hostile, but very, intimidating, so to speak. So, yeah, what a great weekend for Florida State baseball.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Not hostile, like not a-holes, but like the new baseball, knew how to make it tough on opponents, but at the end of the day, like had enough respect for the sport. Like you go other places and people are just jerks, right?
Yeah.
I think about places like that, like Clemson. You go to a football game at Clemson. Like I've never had anybody treat me poorly when I was at Clemson, a game at Clemson. They're super nice, but they certainly make it tough to play there. And it's not the same everywhere, right? You go down to South Florida and people are just jerks.
Maryland fans are the worst. I'll just say that. Maryland.
I don't know that I would have guessed that one. So, all right, we want to talk a little bit more baseball, but Double Fries No Slaw brought to you by Guthrie's in Tallahassee. You can visit all three of their locations there, 1818 West Tennessee, 2550 North Monroe, and then 2870 Appalachia Parkway. Make sure that you let them know that Double Fries No Slaw sent you, and make sure you get your gut boxes Double Fries No Slaw. Appreciate them for their support. We're inching closer and closer to football season. Certainly have some Guthrie's tailgates coming your way. First one probably on Labor Day night when we take on Boston College. But appreciate Guthrie's for their support. All right. Yeah, yesterday was so impressive. And then obviously, we probably gloss over this pretty quickly just because of how the game went down. But it was fun watching the 24-4 beatdown. That was fun. You ever, playing a video game or playing a sport and you just can't miss, or you just can't, like your kill rate on Call of Duty or whatever is like 1 billion, or 1,000,000,001 or whatever. Like it's just, like Florida State was in such a zone, and everybody in the lineup was unreal. You had guys coming off the bench hitting home runs, guys that hadn't batted in weeks coming in, lacing doubles. I just could not. And obviously, there got to a point in the game where UConn was like, well, we're not going to waste any more. Like a loss is a loss, right? We lose by 30, it's still a loss. Doesn't really matter if we lose by 30 or 6. And so they got to a point where it just no longer mattered. They weren't going to throw anybody else that mattered in that game. And so that's fine. I mean, just, hey guys, we're going to wear this. And I'm sure he told his team like, hey, we're not going to use any of our arms that we had stored up for the weekend. So we're going to get some guys some experience in a super regional in Tallahassee, and a chance that, you commit to UConn. You probably don't think you're going to play super regionals in Tallahassee too often, although they've been a good program. It just, what are your chances or odds of ending up there? And so it was, got some experience. Florida State absolutely, knocked the crap out of the ball all day on Friday. And then, Saturday just felt different from the beginning, right? You got Max Williams, actually leadoff guy, got on base. You thought like, man, this might end up being pretty close. Cam Smith, next batter, goes to the warning track. And you're thinking like, okay, this is, I know he didn't hit it out, right, but like we were 3 feet away from being up 2-0. And then, kind of the same thing. James Tibbs gets on, and you're like, okay, well, here it is. Like, time to bust the thing open. And they did a good job limiting you. They did a good job holding you down. Didn't score in the first couple of innings, did in the third. They scored on some mistakes, some errors, some hit by pitches. Got lucky. They sent a couple of runners in motion and fisted the ball out to center field that just fell perfectly. They took advantage of some opportunities, but, Jamie Arnold wasn't perfect by any means, but he was down 2-0, and they had 2 runners in scoring position with no outs. and he got a strikeout and an infield pot. Like, he did a good job of limiting that damage and keeping it at 2. Tibbs ties it up, makes it 2-2 in his first one, and Tibbs gives you the lead 4-2. A little bit later, Dinges follows with a back-to-back shot there, and then obviously Tibbs late was super impressive. And I liked what you mentioned the coach in his press conference, UConn's coach, talking about how we made a. I thought he had so much class, right? Like, but he did such a great job of like giving Florida State praise without dogging his team. Like he said, like, hey, we did a good job making a great pitcher look good. Like that, that is one of the coolest. I've never heard an opposing coach say that. And obviously coaches get into coach speak and they say things that are similar, but it was a good way to like compliment Jamie and not just say like, we were hitting the crap out of the best pitcher that's left in the tournament. He didn't say that. He was respectful, but he said we made a great pitcher look good. And so he gave a lot of credit to Jamie, but he also was bragging on his guys a little bit, which I thought UConn, if there was ever a team that could have just quit, right? They were down 3 runs. It was in the late part of the game. Arnold was still pitching, even though they had worked him some. Like, Arnold was still pitching. They were down 3 runs. They lost yesterday's game or 2 days ago, but they lost the day before by 20. If there was ever a team that could just be like, all right, guys, let's just get back to you. Let's just get done with this.
They sent in the guy to hit a home run who was going to hit a home run.
They absolutely brought it. And so back and forth late, and then Connor Whittaker was just nails. You had to have it. He was phenomenal for you.
Yeah.
And the bullpen wasn't great, minus him, but they battled. Joe Charles got an out with the bases loaded, hit to right. I mean, you had to have that. If not, they probably win the game. Holtz wasn't great, but he battled. Ox was fine. I thought he battled, not super sharp, but I thought they played pretty well. And then Whittaker was great. And then, like you said, James Tibbs III. Richie, it's such recency bias, and it's so much like, is this hyperbole? Are we being too like, are we living too much in this moment and not like realizing everything? But like yesterday in the moment and emotionally, like I compared it with some of the great all-time FSU performances, like in any sport. 3 home runs, including the game winner, right? But the one to tie it up early
just sends you to Omaha.
Yeah, the one to tie it up, the one to take the lead, and then the one to win the game. Is that up there with P-Dub scoring 3 touchdowns in a national? Obviously, in a national championship is going to be a little bit different. Is that up with Kaylee Mudge going 5 for 5 against Alabama in the World Series? Is that up there with it's like some of those performances, right? Like obviously you're going to have your preferences, but. I mean, you think about Jalen Ramsey against Miami in 2014. You think about Kelvin in the Swamp. Like that's up there with some of those performances to me.
This might be a hot take, and I will probably take a ton of heat for this. I would put this above Marshall McDougal's game, where he had 6 home runs. Because
for
what was at stake? I think that like Tibbs to do it in extra innings. I think I put that above Marshall McDougal, which is crazy because to me, that is one of the greatest, probably the greatest at-bat performances of all time in college baseball. But for James Tibbs, like you said, TJ, to tie it and then to give us a lead and then to essentially win the game, man, James Tibbs, what he did in Tallahassee yesterday, it's going to take some time. We're going to have to marinate on it a little bit. But it was amazing, and I truly think that might have been one of the greatest performances given the moment and what was at stake for any Florida State baseball player of all time.
Yeah, when you think about it, like obviously, if you remove the moment, 6 home runs is, absurd still. But 6 home runs is more impressive than 3, right? Like if you remove the moment. But if you're thinking about like what it actually meant, like what it meant for the team, and you think about like, when I think about great performances, like you think about Kobe's 81 points. A lot of people don't realize this, but like
crazy.
The Lakers were down by 20 in that game. Like he had to score, and they ended up running away with it. I think it won by like 20. Like, it was a 40-point swing. I think they were down by 20. They won, but like they were losing in the third quarter, and early in the game they were down by a ton. And like he had to score 81 for them to win. And so like McDougal hits 4 home runs, we still win the game. Right? Hits 3, we probably still win the game. But like Tibbs had to hit all 3. Like Tibbs, if Tibbs doesn't hit any of them, we're done. Right. And so, we're not done. We're playing right today. We're literally playing right now instead of recording. And so, yeah, it's nice to be able to do this podcast a little bit earlier and not have to do it late. But yeah, it is one of the most impressive performances. He, Tibbs talking, after the game said that he looked at, either Daniel or Marco or somebody and said like, I'm ending it. I'm ending it right here. Like, this is it. If we get up, I'm ending it. And, he did. He pointed. Like that's Dion at Clemson levels of pointing and saying, I'm taking it back, or Babe Ruth calling his shot or whatever. Like that's pretty impressive. And, why they continued to pitch to McDougal, I don't know. Why they continue to pitch to Tibbs, I don't know either. Right? Like I don't. The UConn guys said that they missed their spot. Maybe I guess, but why you would continue to pitch to him, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I know there's a lot of good bats behind him, but like Dinges was behind him, but then Ferrer's out, and so like if you can get Dinges, like you're probably good to go. I don't know, that doesn't make a lot of sense, but it was really a cool moment for James Tibbs and for all of FSU.
This lineup is amazing. To go from like Smith to Tibbs, like it's just ridiculous. And TJ, can we just appreciate? You mentioned Ferrer, that bat spike on Friday when he hit that home run on the back-to-back. That was one of the most disrespectful things I've ever seen in a college baseball game, and I loved every second of it.
Yeah, he looked like an Oklahoma softball player getting a walk. Is how much he celebrated that thing. So yeah, it was special to see, and man, there's just so much emotion. There's so much passion. Again, when they went down in the 6th inning, I never expected Florida State to quit or anything like that. So I'm not sure. But you were like, man, Arnold's out. We're not pitching super well. Yeah. Do we, we've got Whittaker for tomorrow, but do we want to get to tomorrow? Like, how does that work? Can we get a lead back? And fortunately, your 9-hole hitter, Jackson West, like you mentioned the lineup, like it's guys all over. Your 9-hole hitter is the guy that tied it up for you in the 8th. And so but like when they took that lead, they took the lead, I think in the 6th, and then the 7th, they came out and just went 1, 2, 3. And you're like, this ain't good. Like this is not ideal.
It was like 6 pitches or something.
Yeah. Quick. Like you're like, crap, we might lose this game. And, you see all the time in baseball when you build up a lead, which they were only up 2. It's not like they were up 10. When you build up a lead and you have that scoring outburst early in the game, sometimes it's hard to get that offense rolling again. Like it's hard to get back into it. And fortunately, on the Jackson West, they play a home run. They were able to get the offense rolling a little bit there. Got it rolling a little bit in the 9th. Had the bases loaded with nobody out. Only scored 1 there. Obviously, would have liked to scratch a few more across. But again, you're talking about your 7 hitter in Drew Farrow. And he was 4 feet from it being a grand slam, a warning track sac fly that scores the run, and they end up getting out of it, right? They get out of it with the 9-1 batters coming up. I'm sorry. No, 8 and 9 batters come. They get the 8 and 9 batters out, and that's, you got the bases loaded with no outs with 7, 8, 9 up, and that's tough. You'd obviously like to be in a different part of the lineup, but the 7 guy did what he needed to. They hit the game. They hit the game tying home run in the 9th off of your best bullpen guy this year in Holtz. And you're like, oh crap. Like here we go again. They load the bases. Fortunately, Florida State gets out of it. And then, the lineup, it felt like Whittaker would need to go a couple because the lineup needed to flip over. Like it needed to turn over in the 10th and the 11th. They got through it pretty quickly. And then once we got to the 12th and Tibbs was up, like you knew you were going to get Tibbs up. That felt good. Like you're like, okay, here's where we do it. 3, 4, 5 coming up. Feel like we can get something going here. And they did. So we were talking a little bit before we got started about Omaha. And man, it's hard.
I think I'm going, TJ.
You're going to get there Friday?
I think I'm going for the first game and come right back afterwards, but I think I'm going to go.
I'm out of town this week. So I'm actually flying out tonight to go see some friends. And so I can't make like the beginning, but if they make it deep, I certainly could make the final series. If not, might try and make it for something else, but also like depends on their record, right? Like if they're 0 and if they were to lose on Friday, which I assume the game is going to be on Friday, just based on the way the schedules have worked out. But if they were to lose on Friday, I'd probably wait to see them win like at least one, if not two. Because
we don't need an 0-2 in barbecue. We do not need that.
And I also don't want to fly all the way out to Omaha. So I've got it set up. I have the trip ready to go. Like if we make the Champ Series, like lodging, flights, all that stuff, like that's good to go. But I need us to make the finals. But talking about, by the time people listen to this, I think the Tennessee Evansville game will probably be decided. But, based on how that works out and how you could maybe set up your pitching, Florida State's not been afraid to pitch Carson Dorsey first. I don't know that they would pitch Carson Dorsey against Tennessee, but would they against Evansville? Maybe. Link's not been shy about doing that. He pitched Dorsey obviously against Stetson and then game one against UConn. And so would you maybe roll that dice one more time and try and have Jamie Arnold, your ace?
Real quick, can we give Link some flowers right now? I know it's early. It's only his second season. But what he did from last season, we were 23-31 last year. And now we are going to Omaha. I loved 11. I loved Mike Martin Jr. But what Link has done, I think it's not a stretch to say he is the best college baseball coach in the entire country. Based on what he did at Carolina and Notre Dame, I don't think that's, an asinine thing to say at all.
Yeah, I mean, he's won Coach of the Year twice, and to me, I don't know if votes have already had to be submitted yet or if people can still vote on it or whatever. But he's won Coach of the Year twice, and it would be pretty surprising to me if he didn't win it this year, or at least like finish really
Top
high
3.
in that conversation. So yeah, I mean, I think he's right there. Like if you win National Coach of the Year 3 times, like within the last
3 different schools,
that's kind of crazy to think about, right? Like, and there are going to be arguments just like there are in football. Like you got to win a title for us to call, and that's fine, right? Like there are some really good coaches out there. Jay John, LSU's coach is great. Like O'Sullivan, having a couple, like he's really good. There are some really good coaches out there, but what Link? Yeah, I didn't say good people. I just said he does a good job coaching his guys.
He does.
So yeah, like what Link has done is impressive. I'll go back to Omaha in a minute. Somebody asked me yesterday, is Link Norvell? And I said, look, I said this yesterday when I did a quick little recap. Tell me if I'm crazy and might be recency bias. I love Mike Norvell, and I don't know that there's a coach in this country that I would rather have more than him, except maybe Kirby Smart, right? Like, don't yell at me for that. Like, that, Kirby's undoubtedly the GOAT.
Fair, only one.
But what I replied to the person who asked me, is Link Norvell, is I said, I think Link's better. And I'm not anti-Norvell at all. Like, I am very pro-Norvell, but I think Link might be better than Norvell. And that's not a slight. Like, I think Norvell's really good.
This is going to get clipped, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
But he might be. He made Omaha before, and Norvell should have been in the playoff this year. I get it. But he made Omaha in his second year. He's been to Omaha several times now, or a couple times now. Like,
if you're stacking resumes up, TJ, Link's resume is better than Norvell's, and that's no shot at Norvell. What he's done at Florida State is amazing, and I would not want any other coach other than Mike Norvell right now. He's the guy I want.
I think the last 5 videos on this channel are me praising Norvell. Like, I am a diehard Mike Norvell stan. Like, defend him to the end of the earth. And so it's not a shot at him to say that, but I think Link might be the best coach on campus. And you know how much respect we have for all the different coaches. Lonnie, national title winner, Brian Pinsky, national title winner, Brooke Niles. Like, we have a lot of respect for, obviously just retired, but Bob Raymond. Like, there's a lot of great coaches on this campus. But I don't know, man. Like, and again, it's recency bias. It's a lot. There's a lot going on in your mind right now, like after something like that happens. But when you look at Norvell and Link specifically, they're very similar. They both have had remarkable turnarounds. but I'm not sure that Link isn't just like a step ahead. Like you said, we just agreed that Link is probably like one of the best coaches in the country, and so is Norvell. But I think Norvell's probably like around that 5 range, and Link might be like, I mean, he's going to win coach. He's going to win national.
He
coach
might
of
be
the year.
number 1.
But also Norvell won coach of the year this year too, the Bobby Dodd. So like, listen, we're having this, not debate because I think we kind of both agree here, but like,
what a terrible
it's a good problem to have, man. Like, this is the best problem we've had since. Oh, I don't know. Bowden and Martin were on the sidelines in Tallahassee. Like, this is a good problem to have.
When I was at Florida State as a student, Bobby Bowden was coaching on Bobby Bowden Field. Mike Martin was coaching on Mike Martin Field. And Joanne Graff was coaching on Joanne Graff Field. That's just crazy to me to think about. And to have Norvell and Link Jarrett right now is amazing. And much to my chagrin, my wife watching the Link interviews on TV, she's like, man, you guys have some really hot coaches. I'm like, that's cool, babe, I guess. I don't know what Garrett thinks, but that's where Lindsay's mind was at.
Yeah, I don't know that she is super familiar with what Link looks like, but yeah, she's a big Norvell fan too. So we got to get Lindsay.
I also don't make $10 million a year, so that's
yeah. You add that onto anybody's wallet, and you're like, all right, we got to get Lindsay to stop saying "you guys." Like, it's just got to be like we got to get her on the band.
Yeah.
So that's your project. You got to work on a little bit. So, all right, I want to talk about Omaha a little bit, but I will give some love to Garnet and Gold. GarnetandGold.com. If you need any gear, listen, you need to get it quick, and nobody ships quite as fast as Garnet and Gold does. Listen, I don't like to publicize this, but I have ordered from everyone just because I've had small kids, and I don't order anything for myself from anywhere else. But I've ordered from other stores that just had a bigger kid selection or a different kid selection because I own every single child's item that Garnet and Gold sells. And so when I am trying to get something else for the kids, sometimes I'll go other places. Nobody ships as fast as Garnet and Gold. And like, I'm just telling you, if you order it today, which this is a Sunday or Monday that you're listening or watching this,
Tuesday,
it'll probably be out by Tuesday, and you'll have it by Wednesday or Thursday. So you'll have it before you either leave for Omaha or before you get there. Now, if you're in the state of Florida, right? If you're ordering this in Spokane, Washington, I can't guarantee that you'll get it that fast. But if you're local, if you're kind of Atlanta, Florida, North Carolina, if you're local and you order it today from Garnet and Gold, baseball stuff, whether it's Omaha stuff, whether it's baseball jerseys, whether it's just hats, any kind of FSU gear, use the code NOSLAW, NOSLAW, get 15% off. If it's $75 or more, it's free shipping. So you don't, again, if you're not like super far, don't pay for the expedited shipping. Take the free shipping, state of Florida. I have always gotten my stuff in 2 days. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that you'll be a 2-day Amazon Prime quickness, but I've always, if I order on Monday, as long as I'm not ordering at like 4:59 p.m., if I order on Monday, I always get my stuff by Wednesday here in the state of Florida. Yeah. I'm about 4 hours from Tallahassee. It doesn't really matter. Anywhere in the state of Florida should get it within a day or two. So GarnetandGold.com, best place you can shop for any FSU baseball or any really FSU gear at all. Appreciate them for their support. So, all right, Richie, we're talking about Omaha a little bit. And again, not at the time of this recording, not sure the Tennessee Evansville. I'll go ahead and assume Tennessee wins just because I think it's a little bit easier assumption, and we'll be, what is it? Hope for the worst, or expect the worst, hope for the best. So just expect Tennessee to win. If that's the case, I think you go Jamie Arnold, and
you have to.
If he's on, I don't think there's a lot of teams in this country, and he also didn't pitch as much. Well, actually, he went over 100, yeah. So, but he did get to into the game a little bit earlier than he probably wanted to. I think you have a shot. Now, Tennessee is the number 1 team in the country, and you are going to need to play very, very well. But as you've seen, they can struggle. They got beat down by TJ. They really should have lost game 1 to Evansville. They
real quick. Who was the last guy to beat Tennessee in the postseason?
Oh yeah, Link. Yeah. So yeah, you
let's go.
You've got a shot. Now you're going to need Arnold to be on, right? You're going to need him to pitch like he did against UCF, not like he did against UConn. And the bats are, they're not going to need to be as hot as they were against UConn game 1, but you're going to need some runs. You're going to need to back him up and defend him because they're going to get some swings off. I mean, they're the number 1 team in the country for a reason. But if Arnold's on, I don't think there's a lot of teams in this country that can hit him. I think he's the best pitcher left in the field of when we're recording this, where they're like, I think there are like 13 teams left.
Yeah.
I'd say that he's the best pitcher. Arkansas's guys out, and others are as well. Wakes, Burns is out, and so yeah, I think that if you can get that game one win, and you've got most of your bullpen available, right, and Dorsey can continue to pitch well, which he's not pitched super well away from. I almost said Doak, but he's not pitched super well away from Dick Hauser. But if he can pitch well, and you can beat that 4-5 matchup, which is UNC or Virginia, right? You've had some success against Virginia. Arnold pitched in that game, so they wouldn't be seeing him again. They'd be seeing Dorsey. If you can have some success against both those really good teams, right? Really good ACC teams. I think we're like a couple of wins away from having an all ACC SEC World Series. Like if Kentucky,
it looks like it's going to be, yeah.
If Kentucky and A&M, like if it goes chalk the rest of the way, Tennessee, A&M, and Kentucky win, which they're all they're all one win away from Omaha. We're gonna have an all ACC SEC. But if you can win with Arnold against Tennessee, tall task, no doubt. And then you can get Dorsey, Whittaker, Ox, Holtz, Charles, Abraham, whatever you got to do. Find a way to get to 2-0. In theory, that third game you could bullpen it. You'd have 2 games to win 1. And so if you could bullpen your way to a win on game 3, up 2-0, great. If not, you lose that game, you've got Arnold again. And he'd be pitching to send you to the final series. That would probably mean he's not available for game 1 and 2 of the final series if he was to win. But you would maybe either have him out of the pen, or maybe if it got to a game 3. But you should have Whittaker and Dorsey available for those 2. And so, I think there's a lot that's been said about our bullpen, and can the bullpen hold it? It's going to be tough. But it's going to be tough for any team that
it's
gets
always tough. Yeah,
yeah.
If we're chasing a natty, it's tough.
This isn't like. It's not as much disparity. Like, I think when we went to, when we've been to the Oklahoma City a couple of times, like, you knew Florida State was going to be in around it until the end. You were going in as like a 2 seed or a 3 seed. You knew you had the pitching. You knew that, you could just pitch cat. Like, it's different, right? You could pitch the same girl over and over and over again. You see teams do that. Oklahoma did that this year with Kelly Maxwell. And so you knew that, like, it was going to be tough for Florida State to lose 2 games before they got to play Oklahoma or a team like that, right? Like, obviously that's tough, but baseball is so different. You've got 8 teams that are very even. Now Evansville makes it. That's a little different, or West Virginia gets in, or something like. Well, West Virginia's out now, but
yeah. And I'll say this year, like, there's no one team. There's no dominant ace on the mound, right?
Yeah.
If anything, Jamie Arnold might
Arnold.
be that guy, and that's. I remember the year. I don't remember how many years ago, but we played TCU. And they had the obvious number 1 pick in the draft as pitcher, and he just mowed us down. Like, it was disgusting. But you don't have that pitcher this year, and if you do, it's Jamie Arnold. Why not us? Why not now, TJ?
Yeah, and you look. Tennessee's the number 1 team in the country, and they gave up 6 runs game 1 and 10 runs game 2 to Evansville. And I believe they gave up 6 runs game 1, and then Evansville loaded the bases with like nobody out, and then only got like 1 run out of it, or Evansville had their chances even in game 1. They just don't have the pitching to match up with Tennessee. But I say that today, they'll probably win 1-0 because I said it. But Florida State could lose to any team in this that's left, and they could beat any team that's left. And so it's to me, it's really about getting out 2-0. It's just like a regional. You basically have in Omaha, you basically have 2 regionals, and the winner of this regional plays the winner of this regional. They don't do that thing in softball where you end up, if you lose a certain game, you switch to the other bracket. They don't do any of that. Yeah. It's just win your regional, and you're in the World Series final. And obviously, this goes for all 4 teams. If you start out 2-0. You are set up really, really well. The off days are set up well for you to get your ace back around. If he starts game 1, he could probably pitch in game 4. Supposing you win the first 2, lose the third, he could pitch in the 4th one. So it is all about getting to 2-0. And if Arnold can give you the performance of a lifetime in Omaha, I really like your chances against that other ACC team. It's not that you couldn't lose to a Virginia or UNC. UNC is incredible this year, and they've got great pitching, great hitting. They lead the ACC in a lot of categories. But you could find a way to beat either one of those. I mean, I think you could do really, really well against either one of those teams. And then if you start out 2-0, it's set up for you to go out and do some really special things. And if that's the case, we'll see. Now they could go 0-2, right? You could lose to Tennessee in an absolute 3-2 battle, and then you could lose the next game to Virginia or UNC. It is really tough to come out of losers bracket in Omaha, but man, we'll see. A lot of fun though, man. It's I'll tell you what else is nice. All that said, all those things, it is really nice to be the first team to get to clinch a spot and watch a bunch. I've watched so much college baseball this week and been so relaxed. Now, I wasn't relaxed for the 4 hours of our game yesterday, but really not at all. All day Friday I was relaxed. Like we scored 3 I was relaxed all day Friday. I was relaxed all day after ours, watching these other games, watching Clemson melt down and choke. So anyway, I've enjoyed just kind of chilling.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get out to Omaha. I will do my part to do some jello shots. I'm 36 now. I'm not 26, so I won't be able to get as many as I would like to up on the board. But just as we close out our baseball segment here, and I'll credit warchant.com here, Link Jarrett was questioned on the memory of Mike Martin, and he said, for him now, there's one more thing that I want to do, and we all know what that is. And I just thought that was so special, so powerful.
You remember when Coach Krikorian was on and said, like, no, we're going to be really, like, kind of called a shot. Didn't say we were going to win a national title.
He did. He's like, we're not rebuilding.
Yeah. He said, we're not rebuilding. Like, we're going to be like, this is a dang good team. And they ended up winning a title that year. And so, I'm not saying that just because Link has a confidence, like they're going to go out and win, 5 more games. And
Link is confident.
But man, he's talked about it a ton. In the last press conference, I don't know if it was Brett or somebody brought this up at Noles 247 Sunday Golds. They do a phenomenal job. But he said something like, Link pointed over and said, like, I came here for one reason. It was to put a trophy in that case, right? Yeah. And then they mentioned that, I rewatched, I get real nostalgic, man, like after big wins and stuff, but I rewatched his introductory press conference. Actually, I listened to it. I put it up on YouTube and then just listened to it while I was in the car yesterday. And both Alfred and Link talked about winning titles. Like we're bringing them in to win titles. I'm coming here to win titles. It's going to happen. I don't know if it's this year or not. There's a lot of, but they're building a foundation, and there is going to be a national title here. And I know there's a 24th trip, lucky number. You scored 24 runs in the game 1 of the Super Bowl. Maybe there's some magic there. There've been some greats to where
let's do
24. Shout out Kobe. It'd be fun to get it done. You mentioned, okay, this has nothing to do with baseball, but I will say this. I saw a really cool interview that you mentioned, Warchant, Ira did with Mark Flaherty. So Devin's dad and McKenna plays on our beach volleyball team. They're Devin's sister. And so just what it's like being a dad of a couple of D1 athletes and things that he wants kind of fans to know, like, really good perspective there. He talked about the recruiting process, how crazy that was. And just, I thought that was one of the more cool interviews, especially during the off season right now when there ain't a lot of news. I know there's recruiting and different things going on, but I thought that was really, really cool. So if you can just literally go to Warchant's YouTube and it's on there. So a conversation with Mark Flaherty, I thought that was really, really good. So Richie, any shout outs or anything you got before we get out of here?
Yeah, shout out my amazing wife, Lindsay, 40 years old, Tuesday. Had a great birthday weekend for her and birthday week. And just shout out her, my much, much better half.
I like it. Man, shout out Link Jarrett. We talked about this. We talked about, you shouted him out too, but what they've done is great. Obviously, Whittaker, all the guys, man, Dorsey, you don't, as much as, he struggled kind of late. You're not in this position without Carson Dorsey. You've got a lot of guys, James Tibbs, Cam Smith, Max Williams, at the top of the lineup's been great. Lodi's in the field and all, I mean, it takes the whole team, right? Like I'm going to stop naming guys because you really need to name all of them. It's a complete team effort.
Can we give Ferrer a shout out for the Puerto Rican for your boy?
Yeah. Drew Furrow, really good. I mean, again, you're not in the situation if he doesn't get you the lead. in the ninth. And so it totally did take the team effort. Very impressive. And man, let's go win a few more and see what we can do from there. So double fries, no slaw. Richie, TJ, shout out Harlan who didn't join us today, but appreciate you guys for tuning in, hanging out, and go Noles.